All right, welcome back to the Breaker Bros, and we're gonna, I guess, do our reaction to Week 1 against the Steelers, and then kind of get into Week 2 and our predictions. So I guess starting off, Eric, how do you want to recap Week 1 against the Steelers?
I don't know. It was a bad week. I mean, it's like the weirdest. I mean, anytime the Bengals play the Steelers, you always expect disappointment. And week one did not disappoint. I guess the strange thing was, right, like last year when the Bengals blew out the Steelers, it didn't feel real. It was like, what the hell's going on? Last week, week one felt like, sad to say normal, right?
Back to
It's just
normal,
like,
yeah.
yeah, back to normal. Uh, I think I saw a meme that said like Joe Burrow minus his appendix is Sam Darnold. It was just like such a terrible game, right? And even so, they had a chance to win, but live and in person, the offensive line looked leaky to say the least. Especially in the first half, like Cam Hayward is an excellent football player, right? We all know that, but I mean, he looked unstoppable, and,
Yeah,
and
he
it
was.
was like it was like whenever the Steelers knew that there was going to be a passing down, they seemed to know how to scheme to get Volson one-on-one with Cam Hayward, and he literally just was like pushing
Pushing
him
him back into the backfield, yeah.
right into Joe Burrow's chest and legs. Like it seemed like on almost every single passing play, there was either Hayward was back there or Watt was back there. It was and always coming through the same spot. So
Yeah, I mean,
um,
credit to the Steelers because you could just tell, like, they took last year personal. They really
yeah,
did. They came out like on fire. They just seemed like a completely different team defensively. Um, their offense really didn't do that much. It didn't feel like. I mean, they did enough, and I feel like the times that they did hit big plays, they did like what you would normally see from the Steelers' offense with their trick plays. I feel like they had like 3 or 4 trick plays that got them like big yards and into field goal
hmm
range. And
yeah,
I
they
guess
ran like it was like a high school offense that they were running.
yeah,
That's all they needed.
and I felt like they just put so much into it, like you could just tell, like they were just exhausting so much energy. I
Yeah,
think
but I
that
mean, isn't it going to be more like that this year? Because last year, you know, w- Cincinnati fans were confident that Burrow and the Bengals would be good, but they weren't really getting kind of the hype and the media attention. But now, Bengals went to the Super Bowl. Lots of people are talking about them being good. Um, and, they have quite a few primetime games. I think it's going to be more like this going forward than it's going to be,
I think
sneaking up on teams.
yeah, I think the second Steelers game is a Monday night game, right, or a Sunday night game. I
I
think
can't remember.
I could be
I'll take
wrong.
your word for it, though.
I
I can
feel
Google
like
it.
it's right, but I mean, really, there was just so many things that went wrong on the Bengals side, and Joe Burrow obviously had a bad game. He turned around in the second half a bit, but there was just a lot of bad plays. I think the pick six he threw that, yeah, I want to say the first play of the offensive series, like I want to say one of the players was open in the middle of the field. But I think
Yeah.
it's just scheme wise, like the Steelers were definitely prepared. I think obviously we were kind of taken aback. But with all that, with all the sacks and all the pressures and um, all the turnovers, we still could have won the game, and we probably should have won the game if our long snapper
Definitely
didn't get.
should not have lost the game. Like, I feel like the loss goes on the coaching staff because I know they were talking about like not running the clock down before they punted it right at the end of overtime. But I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. You know?
Well, like in
You
my
run the clock
mind,
down.
like when you turn the ball over 4 times in the first half, like the game shouldn't
Yeah.
even be close by that time, anyways.
Right,
So
right. But I
like,
mean, but you get all the way to the end and it's like you get the tie if you let the clock run all the way down and then punt it, right? Because you know that you're taking away 2 plays. So that means that like really they can't you're putting that on Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, the last 2 plays, I mean, really, they burned 1 play, so they got within field goal range 1 play early. But if you take away that 13 seconds, that would have cost them 2 plays. I don't think they would have been able to get into field goal range that quickly. I think the defense was playing well enough that they kind of took what they could, and I think that cost the tie. And then not challenging, like you had that picture ready.
Yeah.
Not challenging that touchdown. That's just points.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
the fact that the ref missed that is pretty bad because pretty sure they were right in front of him.
I was sitting in like the opposite corner of the stadium, and I turned to my friend and I was like, I don't see how it's not a touchdown. I don't understand why they're not challenging it.
Yeah, just by like logic of where the ball is, right?
Yeah, because
right
from
side.
where I was, I couldn't see the football. I could tell he caught it, and he's standing on the goal line, and it's just like, how's that not a touchdown? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, that to me, that's this game in particular. I feel like the team wasn't ready, the coaches weren't ready,
and not playing in the preseason a little bit, you can kind of tell that they were a bit rusty. I mean, to be fair, the defense played really good throughout the whole game because that's pretty much why we were in the position that we were. Or I mean, they're the ones that put us in a position to even have a chance. And then I think too, even though Joe Burrow had probably one of his worst games ever, especially in the NFL. If you give him the ball at the end of the game, we still have a chance to win, which we should have if it wasn't for that fluke play of where the extra point gets blocked, and then in overtime.
And I was like, why is it taking so long for the league to let them kick that extra point? I feel like that contributed to it a little bit because you let that defense that just gave up the touchdown recover for like a minute before you kick the extra point. I feel like that's an advantage. I mean, I'm sure that didn't. It's probably but that's the only reason he did it. But it in the moment, I was upset about it. I was just like, I don't understand why it's taking so damn long. Just put it down, let him kick it.
Yeah, I feel like though, just watching it on TV, it was just we missed the block. Really, is what it came down to. Like,
they missed a block in that game?
Well, yeah, but it was just Fitzpatrick. He just ran right past the guy that should have blocked him. It was like he was like going towards him. He was like, nah, and then he like ran through and blocked it. It was just really weird. Because I think what happened was he had 2 people coming at him, and he went for the guy on the outside when he should have went for the guy on the inside because he's the closest one to the ball. So like, even if you let the person on the outside, he's probably not going to get there in time enough to actually block it.
Right.
So it's like if you had to choose, you always go for the guy on the inside because, they're physically closer to the ball, which, a half a second makes that much of a difference when you're kicking it.
Yeah. But so the rematch is Sunday night.
It is Sunday. Okay. Yeah. So I wonder if TJ Watt will be back because that's another thing I saw.
November 20th. So
yeah,
if he comes back on this new timeline, then yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy because it just seemed like he knew immediately that it was torn or that he popped something in his. Like when I was reading his lips, it looked like he was saying it. I tore it, like he said it several different times. But apparently, he can be back. I guess within 6 weeks or about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So he should be back in time for that match. Which, to me, he's the one that really made the biggest difference for the Steelers because like. He was constantly in the backfield, and then he tipped several different passes, intercepted one. Like he just had like a freakishly good game, which I don't expect him to do that every single time. So
I think it was Haywood that just wrecked the whole thing.
Well, like he played really well too.
That guy just like forklift the guard and put him in Burrow's chest. I mean, because a few of those interceptions, it felt like it was because he couldn't step into the throw or because the pocket was collapsing so fast he rushed the throw.
Well, I think
but another thing though, why are we throwing it so much?
That's what I was wondering too. I felt like
the offensive line's getting just they're getting beat right on passing downs. They were running the ball pretty effectively, it's just like, let's ease into it, right? Because it's like, let's see if Mitchell Trubisky can score on his own, which he didn't. I mean, granted, he didn't necessarily have to, but I'm just saying, like, I know you want to score points and everything, but the reality is they didn't play in the preseason, so maybe you kind of got eased into it, especially when you start seeing what's
Right.
going on, right? Like, I mean, looking at just the Steelers defensive line wrecking the Bengals offensive line on every passing situation, it's like maybe lean into the run a little bit, take a little bit of the get some gut punches, wear out the defense a little bit, and then maybe try to ease back into passing. But they were just like, oh, we threw a pick. Okay, well, we're gonna keep throwing it,
Yeah, it was just a bad omen from the start. It was like I just assumed that we would go in because based off of last year, the Steelers had a really bad run defense, and the fact that like this was the first game that the offensive line was playing together, it just made sense that we would run kind of heavy early just to kind of get things gelling. But I also get it too, like when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow and all the different offensive pieces that we have, like you're gonna want him to cook. But I think they just did it too early. Like I get maybe after like 2 series and nothing's really going on, then yeah, you let him cook. But I guess this is all like a learning lesson for everyone. But they did turn it around mostly in the second half, and then like that last interception that Burrow had, I think it was in late in the second half. Like it was kind of funny like watching it because I think it was in the fourth quarter, and like it wasn't a good pass by any means, but I kept on thinking like they should have just not picked the ball off, like because they intercepted it. It was on 4th down if I remember, and then he basically got tackled right away. So like, yeah, it's cool that you get an interception, but you like lost 15 yards or 20 yards by picking it off, because if you just drop it, you get the ball back where the line of scrimmage is, right?
Yeah.
So that to me was like kind of like a punt.
But you got to do it for the fantasy stats.
Man. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it was just there was.
I think it's personal. I think it's personal. They definitely took it personal. The score last year, and they're like, no, we're going to get the pick because that's an interception on Burrow's stats, right?
Yeah,
makes
that's true.
This game look much worse.
The funny part was I think Willie Anderson had tweeted that Steelers fans were going crazy downtown. And like my immediate reaction was like, oh, well, because this is like their Super Bowl, right? And then like and I responded that way, and then I got a tweet back, and like you could just tell like the Steelers fan like took that personal. I'm like, he was like, what has your organization ever done? Like, what makes it so great? It's like, then why are you guys celebrating so hard? It's like week 1. Like, it's not that like you guys played well. Don't get me wrong. Like they did their thing. Yeah, they outperformed the Bengals. They won. They did what they needed to do. But the fact that we had so much going wrong and we still probably should have won at the end of the game tells me a lot.
Well, you know what? I thought we won, right? I sent you the video of like from my vantage point. I thought we won.
This is the video of where we kicked the field goal in the overtime with our backup snapper. So this is the video.
So it's sitting there watching it, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna win. And then I thought we did win, and then like I was like, why is it so quiet? And
it's a tough angle. Yeah.
I was like, oh crap.
Well, he shanked the crap out of it. I mean, if you're watching it on TV, it was bad. Like the moment he kicked it was like, whoosh, but then when you saw like the replay in slow motion, like the laces weren't out, and it was like, oh god. Yeah. And then it was a high snap too. Like it wasn't. So everything was like when it comes to kicking and all that, like they get so used to the timing and all that, but like that was another thing
but then like why didn't they just eat it?
Exactly. That was another mistake. It's like that's why you kick it on 3rd down, is that if it's not to your standards,
they made so many mistakes in that game. So like aside from like the defense playing good, like offensive, special teams, so many mistakes.
But yeah, I think TJ Watt being hurt for a while is really going to hurt him. And then Najee Harris, from the reports I saw, they said he hurt his foot. I'm like, what? Out of all that, he hurt his foot?
It looked like his knee from where I was saying.
He was holding his knee.
Got bent over
but that's like Steelers do weird shit like that. They try to make it seem like it's something else, and that way I guess he doesn't get targeted whenever he comes back. I
yeah.
assume he's gonna be out for several weeks. Like there's no way. Like to me, he at least sprained something in his knee. Like he just does not bend backwards like that. And he was
Yeah,
literally
you
holding
never
his
know,
knee
man.
when he was on the
Never
ground.
know.
So
He might just. I mean, he's a human wrecking ball, so you never know.
yeah, I mean, that was crazy that even happened because I'm sure like they felt like crap like for a player to get hurt like in that condition because like him getting hurt, especially at that time, gave us a chance like that because we didn't have to call a timeout. They lost a few yards and then they ended up
Yeah.
punting and then we scored at the very end of the game. It was such a that's like literally a game that you either have a heart attack or a stroke in because like there were so many chances that we could close out the game, and the fact that we came back.
It was just the weirdest day, man.
It-
Like the weather was weird. Like it was like,
Was it
you
humid?
know, no, it was just weird. Well, it like drizzled, and then it looked like it was going to rain, and then it didn't rain, and then it
'Cause-
got cold and dark, and then the sun came out, and then it was just like
It's
it
the
was just like
Steelers Bengals game.
all over,
and,
just
yeah.
crazy erratic game. So let's put that game in the rearview mirror,
All right.
and let's talk about
Week 2.
Week 2, Dallas. I'm calling this a must-win game for the Bengals. They have to win this game. Looking at their schedule, aspirations of being a playoff team, Super Bowl contender, you got to win this game because Dallas is similarly reeling, have similar problems, but the Bengals have the advantage of, the Cowboys lost their starting quarterback.
And then they lost their starting guard. I think I think there's several. Well, I guess they lost their main tackle before the beginning of the season. So I think half of their line is like not. I think the only good offensive lineman they have is maybe the right guard. I could be wrong on that, but basically we're playing against their backup line. So like if we don't go in there and dominate at the line of scrimmage and create some type of turnovers, that could be troublesome. But outside of that, I mean, like I guess the focal point is like we got to protect Burrow better. Like we got to make sure that he can step up in the pocket. I didn't really get a chance to like review the Dallas game and to see if they had any pressures. I think everyone was more like concerned about Dallas's offense because I think they were the only NFL team not to score a touchdown. If I remember correctly, they just look so bad offensively that I don't know how well their defense is going to hold up. But I mean, yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily classify it as a must-win game, but this feels like a game where we should just go in and just have control the whole time. But you could never really write off an NFL team, I guess, necessarily. But personally, I would like to see them just take control.
Part of the Steelers game, even though I said rearview mirror, is like it's almost like it wasn't good enough to win, right? They wanted to win the way that they wanted to win, right? Like they wanted to win passing the ball. Like to me, it's just like you're playing a team that is probably going to have a hard time scoring, right? Starting a quarterback that's not used to playing. And I don't know like why you wouldn't just kind of ease into the game and let them try to let the Cowboys backup quarterback make mistakes and be somewhat conservative until you get a feel for, is the offensive line going to play better, but I have a feeling they're just going to come out, firing away. Of course, it makes a big difference having T. Higgins back. So I mean,
yeah,
I think that's
the early reports. I thought he was going to be
mention.
out, but it sounds like he's already practicing again, or limited practice. I guess you can technically practice a little bit if you pass certain like
they say
protocols.
he's on track. They say he's on track based on like the concussion stuff. So, yeah, I mean, if they have the full complement of receivers, then certainly a better situation. But
I'm to the point where like if we need to keep an extra tackle in as a tight end to help block, then let's do it. I mean, I feel like when we brought in our swing tackle, was it Dinegy? He came in one play as like the extra tight end, and they ran the ball. They did really well with a run play. But I think that was another thing that I saw was that our run plays are too predictable based off of our formation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that's probably another thing they need to work on.
That was like kind of like the running joke last year. It was like anytime they put in, was it Morgan? They were running.
Well, that's receiver wise,
He's like
but like
the blocking wide receiver.
no, I want to say like depending on what formation we were in, and especially with Joe Mixon in the backfield, like they pretty much knew we were gonna run. But that's the Steelers. That's an advantage.
Yeah,
of,
that's
playing
kind of
the
a division thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Cowboys would be that in tune, but I mean it is the
Well,
NFL,
yeah.
so like
Yeah.
everyone has the same film.
Yeah, but not the same
Well, I think the benefit that the
intensity and
Steelers had was
repetition
that they
looking
had
at the
some of our
film.
coaches from a few years ago, but then again, it's a whole different like playbook. I'm sure.
I'm sure the Steelers probably know a little bit more about the Bengals offense.
Oh yeah, I mean without a doubt, that's what makes division games a little bit more tough. Because like you play the same teams twice a year, forever. So like you're gonna have a little bit more of the pulse. I don't know, like I just want to see us like just in control the whole game. Like I'm not expecting us to be perfect, but I just want to have that feeling, kind of like last year when we went into Detroit, and like there was at no point where like we were losing, we were just in full control. That's what I would like this to feel like.
I mean, to me, it's just like I want to see them be patient, because I feel like the way teams are going to try to beat the Bengals is singular. The way is,
it's Micah Parsons. That's going to be the key for them.
They're going to try to keep the receivers in front of them, not give up anything deep, and then try to rush the passer, right? And then on offense, they're going to try to run the ball, shorten the game, right? Maintain possession, right? So they're going to concede a little bit in the running game. Like, to me, I would like to see them establish the run early, and then as the other team has to adjust, then you go back to it, right? But it almost seems like they are really good, but the Bengals offense throwing the ball is really good. But at the same time, it's just like you kind of gotta not be so, I don't know, blunt or straightforward with it, right? It's just like, okay, if they're gonna give you 5 yards a carry, then just take it until they get sick of it, right? I mean, you get to run over a defense for a quarter, it's gonna slow down the pass rush a little bit, And the other thing is, I would like to see them do some more of that end around stuff, right? I mean, they need to do things to slow down the ends, like the jet sweep.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because they used to run a jet sweep or two, like every game.
Well, that, and then maybe if they get Hurst a little bit more involved.
Yeah, Hurst played really well.
Well, you just need that quick option, like either like a few yards past the line of scrimmage where he's doing those quick digs, or maybe a little bit over the middle, wherever the open space is. That way, if something's coming in hot, boom. Or the thing that we did late in the last game against the Steelers is that the running backs run them out, do those little flares or whatever, and if you get pressure, boom. And then I felt like we realized that too late, and then like when they were like rushing us, we just jumped into Mixon or whoever the running back was in, and he ran like 3 to 5 yards, and it's like that's how you slow down the rush, is because at some point they're gonna have to guard those
spaces,
and then
kind of in the short area, and you can if you get 5 to 10 yards. But I think that's another issue with not playing in the preseason, because you have so many new pieces, right? Hayden Hurst, right? I feel like on the one play where
he got the first down.
Yeah, that was nice. The toe tap on the sideline. I feel like he really gained. I think it showed Joe Burrow something, because I saw him walk up to him after the play, when they're in the huddle, and say, "Yeah, nice catch, man." Yeah. And it seemed like he looked his way a little bit more. So it's just sort of like those kind of things are going to help.
Not only that, there was I think it was in the first half. There was one point where he passed it to him, and it was like he had to get like 3 or 4 additional yards to get the first, and he like carried almost 2 people to get it. So he's a very viable option. So
well,
I think
he's a first-round pick.
Yeah, no, I think if we get him involved a little bit more and just
he wants that CJ Uzama money, man.
I mean, he can get it. He can get it, just not with
He
us.
saw how he got paid, right? He's like, well, let me go play for Joe Burrow, and I'll get paid like that too.
Yeah, no, I don't know if we'll re-up with him. I mean, I would love for him to have that opportunity. That means he played really well with us. But I don't see him getting CJ Uzama money with us. But you never know.
Oh,
I mean,
not with us, but if you're a team where when you sign a free agent tight end to a 1-year contract, the next year they go strike it rich, you'll be able to get a few guys that come on 1-year prove it deals.
yeah, I mean, especially if you're an offensive weapon, you're gonna want to come to Cincinnati for that option. Predictions. Do you want to get into what you think the score is going to be? I at the current moment, I believe we're 7-point.
DraftKings right now. I'm seeing what the odds are.
I think we're a 7-point favorite.
7 points. That's a lot of points. That
is
about the same as it was against the Steelers.
I think Steelers was 6.5. But
yeah, it's pretty close. 6.5 and 7.
I mean,
you're gonna kill me over half a point.
Well, I'm just saying, like, betting wise, that's a lot because 7 points is more than a touchdown, right? So you either have to get a touchdown and a safety or a touchdown and a field goal. 6.5, you just got to get a touchdown, right, to beat the spread. So that's even though it's only a half a point, that's a lot betting wise. So we're heavy favorites on the road, which is. That's where I get nervous because it's like these are the games where like I am going to switch up my prediction. I know because I felt like maybe we would perform a little bit better in the first week and then maybe take this week lightly. But I think since we got slapped in the face in the first week, we're not going to take this one as lightly. I think we're going to want to prove some things. So I am going to change my initial prediction. I feel like even with us playing so bad, or not to our full potential, we still scored 20 points. And it probably could have been more than that. I mean, especially if you go back to that touchdown that should have been a touchdown. And, I feel like, plus it's going to be an indoor game. So like the conditions are going to be perfect. So there shouldn't be.
They're going to be really perfect because we're going to be there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's another main thing.
Are we bringing that heat?
I'm going to say, and I'm going to help out Dallas a little bit. I'm going to go with 27-20 Bengals.
27-20.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's me being conservative. But at the same time, like, I don't want to jinx it. I did, on our initial season prediction, I had us losing this match. Kind of like a trap game. But I feel like you can't really be a trap game after going what we went through last week. And the first half versus the second half was kind of like night and day. I'm not saying it was perfect in the first week. Going into the second half, I mean, obviously we had some mistakes and some fluke plays. But hopefully we're not going to have to worry about the long snapper.
Well, they had a guy in the practice squad.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was actually giving our starting long snapper some competition. Like there was thought that maybe Clark Harris wasn't going to make the team because they were going to go for the guy younger, right?
Well,
so he had potential. Same thing with the punter situation.
No. But okay, just a quick question though.
Sure.
Do you think if the Patriots long snapper got hurt in the middle of a game, that they would have a guy that was actually good at long snapping ready to go? Like, do you think that like Belichick would have lost the game the way the Bengals lost the game? Like, basically the Bengals, all things considered, you could say they lost it because they didn't have anybody that could perform the long snapping duties that was active. Do you think the Steelers would lose a game, or not Steelers? Do you think the Patriots would lose a game like that?
I would say no for two different reasons. I agree that they would probably have a backup situation a lot better, but so will we now, right? I think if anything,
Yeah,
they're
now, but I mean that cost them a game, not
right.
being
But
prepared.
we
I
can't dwell
mean,
on it too much. But then the second thing is,
yeah,
I think they would have been coached up well enough to eat that play, right? Not
yeah,
only did
that's
they
what I
miss,
mean. Yeah, it's a coaching thing,
yeah, but
especially coming
but the
off
thing
the
is that
preseason. To me, preseason is like spring training in
here's the
baseball,
thing though.
right?
Here's the thing. Like, I like Zach Taylor. I think, but he in terms of head coaching wise or whatever, he's still pretty young. Like the thing you
Yeah,
got to remember too, like Bill Belichick was a head coach twice before he went to New England and had all the success, right? Like
okay,
he coached
that's fair.
the Browns. Wasn't he the coach of the
That's fair. So you're
Jets?
saying Zach? So when Zach Taylor's on his third team, he's gonna
No.
have a really good special
You got to
teams and
take
not.
account that he had like 6
Yeah,
to 8 years of experience before he became a really dominant coach.
yeah.
And then plus he had
I
Tom
mean,
Brady to start
I, th-
off.
I
So
think
like,
they're a little. I think they're a little too confident in the fact that they have Joe Burrow, and maybe uh, there's just a general
put it this way, I don't even want
taking
this
things
week
for
to come
granted.
down to a field goal, right? I just like I said, I want this to feel like Detroit last year, where we're just in control the whole time.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
even
Okay.
we
Well,
don't want to rely on special teams.
I'm still feeling like they're issues, right? You know, like the whole offensive line thing gives me pause, right? The fact
That
that
is
they
an
got
issue, yes.
Volson, the fact that they have Volson in there starting and he looks so bad,
Yeah, but the
you know.
Dallas defensive line is not could be as good as the Steelers defensive line.
Dallas has a pretty good
They
defensive
have a good
line.
defensive line, but I do think part of it too is that the Steelers defensive line last week played out of their minds. Like they played so well. Like that
Yeah,
was
but
really the
they're
biggest
yeah.
difference maker. Like in the first, like they were just.
You can say they played well,
But
but yeah,
it was
but
a
I
different
mean,
story. Like late into the fourth quarter and in overtime, like, especially when T.J. Watt was out, there was literally no pressure. Like we were dicing them up after that point, right? Like
they were
the thing
doing
is,
better, yeah.
the thing
But
is
that's
like
but I'm just
they have
saying
no
that like
depth.
it was
The
that the
Steelers
line
and
gelling, or is that I'm just saying like
they wore out. They
I'm
put too
still
much into it. You can't
yeah.
as a you have to think in terms of 17 games, not just 1 week. And like they put so much out into week 1, like that's gonna hurt them more long term than in my opinion, than what the Bengals are gonna deal with. Because like think about all the like even Hayward had to leave the game late because like he got hurt. So like
Well, it's because the Bengals had the ball the whole game. That was part of it. But
well that's a
when they
testament to
weren't
the
giving it
Bengals
to the
too.
Steelers, like I think the time of possession was like heavily favored the Bengals. But point being, you know, I still think that there might be some issues with the line. You know, like some of the backup guys didn't really step up. There are some easy drops from was it Mike Thomas dropped a couple just gimme plays, you know? It's just it just felt so sloppy that I think the Bengals are going to win, but I think it's going to be like another close game. I think it's going to be closer than we want it to be.
Leo says thoughts on play calling by Zach. I think you're kind of addressing it, but do you want to?
I mean, he's a really great play caller, but in that game when you're running 5 yards of carry, it's just like I would like to see you run it more, especially when you see what you're getting out of your offensive line. You see that pass rush just eating you up, you know?
Well, I think too. This is every year. This is just the NFL in general. Like people are so high and so low week to week, but I think really like you take each season as its own.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not going to really know the feel of this team until like week 4, right? You want to get like 4 games under your belt to really understand like, okay, this is kind of like what we are. So I think if anything, it's kind of good that we lost early like this. It's better to lose like this early than like really late in the season where like you don't really have time to recover, especially if you're trying to make the playoffs or even if you get into the playoffs and someone finds a weakness that you can't really recover from. So I think the good thing, because this is what I keep going back to, is like there's no reason why we should have been even close to winning that game. but we should have won the game, right? Based off of everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But you give up 4 turnovers in the first half. Usually,
for 3 seconds, I thought we won the game. So
yeah.
I have those.
So the fact that
nice 3 seconds.
we had a chance to win the game at the end. Normally, if you have 4 turnovers in the first half, you're losing by at least 3 possessions. At least.
Yeah, the Bengals were significantly better than the Steelers. I mean, that's all that says. But I mean, to me, the biggest miss is just the on-ramping. It's just you got to ease into the season if you haven't played any preseason games as an offensive unit. I
think that's what they're going to learn too. I know it's a bit different since there's only 3 preseason games versus 4. Yeah. I think they are going to play maybe some of the starters before, because none of the key starters played at all in preseason.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's a problem. To me, it's that makes sense. But when you start the season, you can't pretend that it's you're ready to go guns a-blazing. You know what I mean? You got to kind of ease into it because you haven't played. So you kind of have to. Your first series is going to be kind of crap because you're just going to be running the ball and doing short passes to just kind of get everybody in the flow of the game, So to me, that was the biggest mistake of the game. They just kept pressing, It just felt like everybody was pressing to throw a touchdown pass, right?
We got to remember this is the start of Zach Taylor's 4th season. In terms of head coaching, that's young. He's still pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair too, if you don't do really well, you don't really get that many opportunities. But he is relatively a young head coach, so these are all learning lessons. I don't know. Could the coaching have been better? Yes, absolutely. But I think really the best thing that happened out of all this is that it happened early in the season, and hopefully we have time to recover from it, which we should because it's only week 1.
Yeah, do we have time to find another left guard?
I think possibly the one that we picked
up.
Does
anybody know where Quentin Spain is? Can we go?
I think he's signable
him?
Still, but I think the guard that we picked up in from the waivers might actually be an upgrade because he's a bit more experienced, and I think worst case scenario he might get a shot at some point. But I mean, it's still early on Volson. It's only been week 1. Need more screens, and Joe should take what the defense gives him. No harm in dumping the ball off. Yeah, we were talking about that.
The screens, yeah. I mean, it's just I mean, you're getting just demolished on the pass rush. You got to do something to divert them. Screens, yes. I mean, they threw one screen in the 3rd or 4th quarter. They finally hey, what if we threw a screen?
Yeah,
here?
that's we were kind of talking about that earlier. That we kind of figured out too late that when they were rushing us really well, that we could just dump it off the running back, or maybe that's what I was saying. Maybe we implement Hayden Hurst, the tight end, and have him do some quick routes as well. And if you have those 2 different options, it will really slow down the pass rush.
I think Hurst established himself as the starter. There's not going to be this. Do we play Hurst more or Sample more? I think it's Hurst is the guy, and then if we're gonna run it or do 2 tight end sets, then you bring in Sample.
Well, if Higgins is going to be out, if he can't make this game, which I mean, if he's already limited at practice, I feel like he's probably gonna be back. But I feel like it makes Hurst more of a focal point too. Leo says Hurst is an instant upgrade, like what you see so far. Yeah, no, I think he's an upgrade as well in terms of the offensive perspective or playmaking perspective. Maybe not necessarily blocking. Maybe that's what Uzomah had an edge over Hurst, but in terms of playmaking ability, he's definitely an upgrade.
Yeah, I like how he played with an edge, right? He was finishing runs, looking to hit people, looking to establish kind of physicality, whereas I feel like Uzomah was more, try to outflank you, outrun you. Hurst kind of tries to run through you, which I enjoy from tight ends.
I feel like too he might just be quicker and faster, especially versus the other tight ends that we have. I just remember watching some of like the spring training or like in the off season, like when he was running routes versus other tight ends, he actually looked like a receiver versus a tight end. Now
he's a first round guy. I mean, he's gonna have that elite physical kind of traits, and he kind of played. I mean, he played for the Falcons last year, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of got scooped because they picked another tight end with a number 4 pick. So you're going to not get as many looks. But then he played for who did he get drafted by Baltimore and then go to Cleveland, or is he like Cleveland?
So
and then...
here's the thing: Hayden Hurst. A lot of people forget this was picked before Lamar Jackson. So they got Hayden Hurst, and then I think
then Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, they traded back in to get Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. So I think he's a guy that I like his upside, and I really like how he played. I mean, definitely a bright spot. I mean, I don't know. Burrow probably played his worst game. I would be shocked if he played a game worse than that ever. I mean, it'd be hard to have a worse game.
The only one I can think of is the Bears, where he threw 3 picks like consecutively.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even that game, we still had a chance to win, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he is a guy that you want the ball in his hands in the end of the game, and you feel like he can win the game for you.
He's kind of got like that Brett Favre edge to him, right? No matter because that's kind of how Brett Favre was. Like, he threw a lot of picks he probably shouldn't have thrown, but if you give him a chance to win, he's probably going to win.
Yeah.
Or put you in a position to win.
Mm-hmm.
Long snapper doesn't go out, we win that game.
Yeah. So I guess I haven't given a prediction yet.
Yeah.
I want to say like 20. I want to say like 24-17, but that comes out to the under and the Bengals cover. So I don't like it. I don't want it to be 23. That's too many field goals. So you can get the 22 on a 2-point conversion maybe. So how about 22-17?
Why would we go for a 2-point conversion though? If we're up,
I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know. You're right. I'm just gonna go with my gut. That's what popped in my head. 24-17.
I like it.
I still think it's gonna be a relatively low scoring game, and I think that because the Cowboys aren't going with their starter, they're gonna play just try to milk the clock, shorten the game. So they're gonna try to keep it low scoring. They're probably gonna run it a ton. Or try to run it a ton. I mean, the Bengals did great against the run against the Steelers. So we'll see.
Leo says 27-10. Okay, I like it. I was saying 27-20. It's kind of helping out the Cowboys there because I don't want to jinx anything. But yeah, I like what you're thinking, Leo. I'm glad you said
it. Yeah. If it's jinx, then Leo's banned.
No. I like the confidence. I get really weird when it comes to like jinxes and stuff like that. But no, yeah. I feel like we played a really bad game and we still scored 20 points, which we probably should have had at least 23, right? We could actually make the last couple of field goals,
or at least 21, right?
Right, 21 or 23.
Yeah.
So like, if we're just a bit more efficient, don't have as many 20 or turnovers, then you would assume that we're going to be closer to the 30-point end. But
yeah,
that's why we play the game, right? Or what? That's why they played the game.
That's why we watch the games, I guess.
Right, yeah. We'll be there live, too.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I think we're good.
All right. You ready to sign off then?
Yep.
All right. Peace.
See you guys.